So this lesson's all about putting into action the things we should have learnt. And you can see me planning out your PowerPoint over here. I need to change the title, but when you've come in, you've got Cold War Exam Advice. That is the key title you've got to put in your books today. And I wanted to have a look at the mark scheme of one of the 4 questions you're going to try to have a go at today. And I want you to be able to understand what sort of things you've got to do. So we know that for the Britain exam, there's 3 key things. Hopefully you've got those in your head. You must have a focus on the question. Now in this case, and it's the same for the Cold War for this one, you have to explain why the Soviet Union blockaded West Berlin in 1948. Well, you start with one reason why the Soviet Union blockaded West Berlin was, and then in your next point you make another reason was. If there is another reason, you've got to try and think of as many different bits you can put down in your answer. So focus on the question. Use keywords from the question in the start of your answer. The candidate demonstrates sound knowledge to explain why the Soviet Union blockaded West Berlin in 1948. They produce a multi-causal response. So that means you have to have more than one reason why. That demonstrates thorough understanding of the past through explanation and analysis of the relevant key concepts. Explanation, so we're going to see some connectives in this, which is a key aspect of this answer. So we've got focus on the question, does demonstrate sound knowledge. So you have specific specialist own knowledge. And if it's about explanation, then connectives are going to be really important. Now that's not to say connectives aren't important in your Britain exam. They are. They're just even more focal in this particular one. Now, as a quick snapshot, I'm not going to show you the whole answer because there's a tendency that you might copy bits of it, but I'll just show you some. This is an example answer, and the sort of things that people are putting in there. And this new currency, economic recovery, blockaded. Have we got? You can see because you can see a few connectives. So today, in summary, we've got 3 things that you've got to do, and you can see why here. Focus on the question, use specific specialist own knowledge, and use plenty of connectives so that you are explaining yourself properly. A 4th thing, which I want you to do as well, though, as by this example answer you can see, it's not vital, but to show an examiner that you're using a multi-causal response, I think it's probably a good idea to separate your reasons into paragraphs. 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, however many you get. You'd probably be alright with 2, judging by this example answer. But yeah, that would be something I would say, because then it jumps out to the examiner, this person has more than one reason why. Because as you can see here, you can have one reason, but you're only going to get 5 marks if you manage that, because that is a single causal response. Okay, so you should have written down the key things that you have to do for the Cold War exam. Focus on the question, have specific specialist own knowledge, including dates and names and statistics, etc., and use plenty of connectives so that you're explaining properly. And then the 4th one, which you're going to add as well at the bottom, is try to separate any reasons, any points you make into paragraphs. Not every question, of course, is explain why, but it's always a useful thing to do to separate your points into little paragraphs or big paragraphs if it's a big question, so that it really jumps out to the examiner. And nobody looking at it can say, well, they haven't put two causes here, because it's right there on the paper. Right, job done.